The last video introduced us to the if statement, which allowed us to execute a certain piece of code if a certain condition was met. If that condition was not met, we would skip over the if statement, we wouldn't execute the code, and we'd move on to the rest of our program. Now, what happens if we want to execute code no matter what? Either you'd have one piece of code for the if statement's condition being true, or you'd have another piece of code if the if statement's condition was false. And this is done through the if-else statement. If the condition is true, you'll execute this first piece of code. If it is not true, else you'll execute this second piece of code. So we're going to look at how we can design this right now. We'll start out by creating a variable. So I'll create the same one I had last video, which was the integer variable x, and I'll assign that a value of 5. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and write if, which is our keyword for the if statement. And remember, in the brackets, we put the condition that we want. So in this case, I'll put the same condition if x is greater than 2, and we have our first curly braces. So this is to be the one if the if-else statement is true. If x is greater than 2, you'll be putting whatever arguments inside of here will be executed. So whatever code is going to be inside of these curly braces over here will be executed. I'll put some more markers here, start of if, and I'll put end of if. I'm not going to put them for the entire program because that gets kind of messy. So I'll just put end of start of if and end of if right there. So we say if this is true, if x is greater than 2, I'll put this output here. So system out print line, and I'll say the if statement's condition is true. So we can see that on screen to see what exactly is going on. Now, what happens if it wasn't true, right? What is going to be our other option available to us? Well, right after your if statement ends, right? So right after you close off your body of your if statement with this curly brace, you're going to go ahead and you're going to write else, another keyword. And you're going to go ahead and put some more curly braces at the end here. And you're not going to need to put some brackets at the end of else, right? Like we did with if, because this is going to be what happens if the if statement is not true. So we don't really need a condition over here, because in reality, it's for this right here when x is greater than 2. The condition for else is going to be if x is less than or equal to 2. We know that. So we don't need to specify anything there. However, we can go inside here and write system.out.println, and this is going to be the code that executes if x is not greater than 2. So we can go ahead and write the if statement's condition is false right there. So we can get our answer, and we need to leave it like that. I can go ahead and write start of if over here, or start of else, I should say. And down here, I can go and put end of else. There we go. So that's how our code looks right now. We have our if-else statement. If x is greater than 2, we'll have this over here being true. If it's not, you're going to have this statement over here. We can go ahead and test this out. We'll go ahead and run this, and we see the if statement's condition is true, which is true because we know that 5 over here, which is what x has been assigned to, is greater than 2. Now, what happens if we were to go ahead and put this at 200? What's going to happen now? We know that we certainly can't execute this code over here because this is only for being x is greater than 200 and x is equal to 5. So go ahead and run this, and now look what happens. The if statement's condition is false. Now we have this piece of information over here. This piece of code is being executed, which is the else, which is what gets executed if your if statement's condition is not true. So that's how we build an if-else statement. If you have any questions regarding this, please leave them in the comments below, and I will respond to you as soon as possible, and I'll see you guys in the next video.